Hey guys, here today showing you how to remove a air pump, or secondary air pump on a 2000 Chevy Corvette. This has a secondary air pump check engine light code. These are extremely common on the C5 Corvettes. Excuse me if it's pretty windy. This particular car has 221,000 miles on it, which is quite a bit, but it's been driven a lot by the same owner, and this code started to come up. I would like to note that the air pumps on these cars are located directly in front of the driver's side wheel, pretty much right in this area right here up underneath the bumper, so you will need to jack up the car and take off the front wheel. There are some clips that you need to get to, or not clips really, but bolts that you need to take out this inner fender well here. These three that are here, this one, another one down here at the bottom. These are 7mm bolts, I believe, to take off the wheel. I'm pretty sure you know how to do that already. Jack up the car, put it on jack stands. I place my jack stands there on the center cross member piece, but as I said, you will need to get access to the wheel well, so you may be able to do this with the wheel on. I suggest that you take the wheel off. I would also like to note that underneath the car there is normally a plastic cover. Excuse me, the camera is not centering. There's usually a plastic cover that sits right here up underneath the car, but for some reason that's not there. But there are usually additional bolts that are supposed to be in these holes right here, but as I said, that this piece has been ripped off and it's not here, so I will not be going over that. If you are getting codes for secondary air pumps and you know and your air pump does work and you have good flow from it, usually air pumps will only run in the morning for about, I don't know, in between 5 to 45 seconds depending on where you live at. You can take the connector directly off of the pump and apply power to it directly just with a battery or something like that to see if the pump works. If it does work, then this video would not be for you. If it doesn't work, then I'm going to go in. That's what I'm showing you now, is how to take off the air pump and just replace it with a new pump. There are different variations of the pumps. Some of them come complete with the housing. Some of them do not come complete like mine, so I will be transferring some parts over from the old pump to the new pump. But if yours does work and you're still getting some kind of flow code, chances are that your check valves here, these here, you'll see this one on the driver's side, it comes right off of the header, and this black thing here is a check valve. It's only, when the air pump runs, it comes up through this here rubber hose here. It comes up and gets forced into the exhaust manifold down there. This goes, if you follow it down, it goes back into a Y, which you can see right here is pretty dirty. This is the Y right here. This part right here you see me pointing at, it comes from the air pump up into this here and into the exhaust, and then it goes actually back towards the back of the heads. There's another check valve that runs the other side. If your pump runs and you still get a code, then I would check these check valves, because they are probably stuck. They do get stuck pretty much when you start the car, and if you were to remove this rubber hose, you shouldn't hear any exhaust noises. This is a one-way valve, so all the air is supposed to only flow in the direction this way towards the car, or pretty much it's only supposed to flow one way, which is towards the exhaust. If you take both of these rubber hoses off, now this one's easy to get to, the one on the back of the head actually is really difficult to get to, and you will have to take off the intake manifold in order to replace that valve. Some people have done it without taking off the intake manifold, but it's a real pain in the ass, so I suggest that you take off the intake manifold in order to get to that back check valve. But nonetheless, I am here to show you how to take off the small pump, so that's what we're going to do. As I mentioned before, you need to jack up the car, you need to put it on jack stands, and then I'll go on ahead and show you how to get to the pump. Okay, now that you've got the covers off, you probably didn't have to loosen up those three that were inside the wheel well, but the ones that are down here on the bottom of the bumper you for sure had to take off. And then you'll pretty much just be looking right at the air pump, which is located right here in this area, this deal here. There is only one connector that goes to it, one electrical connector. You'll see this right here. This orange pin will actually be slid in between. You can just go ahead and pull the orange pin out, and then you push down the connector and just pull the wiring harness off. There's a little tab right here that you can push to remove it. And then what you'll need to do is to disconnect this here rubber coupling. It's held on by these plastic clips. It really doesn't matter which side you take off. You can take off both or just one. It doesn't really matter how you do it. This is the output. This is the hose that leads up into the engine bay, as I was showing you by the check valves. It is controlled by this vacuum operated valve here. But yeah, you just need to stick a screwdriver into these here, a flathead screwdriver, just so you can, you know, stick it in here and pry it back, and then that'll loosen up that clamp. Then you can take off that. Then the pump itself is actually just held in by three 10mm bolts. There's one right here that you can see. There's another one right here at the very bottom right there that I'm pointing that you can see, and the other one is actually up above this here tube. You can get a better look at it. I can't get a look at it from here, but there are just those three bolts that hold it on, and then it will be loose. And then I believe there is, if you look straight up, actually, oh, excuse me, if you look up here, right above this this here connector with the vacuum, there's another rubber hose that is connected right back there with the same type of plastic clip as this one. You'll need to remove this rubber hose as well. That one goes up into the intake box. So those are pretty much what you need to. You need to remove this connector, that rubber hose, disconnect the electrical connector here, and then remove the three 10mm bolts that are holding the air pump into its bracket. And after you do that, you can go on ahead and maneuver the air pump down towards the car, and just get it out that way, down towards the front wheel here, and you should have enough room here to maneuver the bumper so that you can go ahead and pull it off. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. The last mounting bolt is right here. Go ahead and loosen up that 10. As you see, I loosened up the bottom two, and then the top one is actually just a rubber mount. You can go on ahead and just pull the pump off of that mount, and then you can loosen up this 10 because it's much easier to do it that way. Okay, so now if your new pump comes complete like this, it comes with everything already attached. It has the out pump housing, or the output housing on it, and as well as all the connectors. You can go on ahead and just reinstall it back into the car the same way you took it out. It's pretty self-explanatory. If your pump comes like this one, like I have, this is the Dorman part number 306-010. This pump is not complete. As you can tell, it's missing the output housing. This is the fan inside that spins around and generates the air, but it is missing the housing, as you can see here, that has the 2 outlets on it. So this I'm going to need to transfer over to this new pump. It's pretty self-explanatory. Also, your new pump will probably come with a wiring adapter like so. The stock Chevy Corvette connector looks like this, but the new Dorman pump does not have a connector like that, but it's okay because they supplied an adapter, so you plug the black part into the Dorman one here, and then this one will get connected right back into the normal Chevy factory harness. But as I was saying, you need to, as you can see, this, when you get the new one, there's some play here, so you're gonna need to take off these 4 bolts. You need to loosen them up. They are T20 Torx. You loosen these up like so. You just take your T20 and you loosen them, take them all 4 out, and then you'll take your old pump and you'll actually loosen up all 4 of the same ones, these 4 here, and then there's one in the center that you'll need to loosen up as well. Take all 5 of those out, and then you'll take the housing, you'll take this out, this here housing, and just transfer it over to your new pump. Okay, you can see I've separated the housing from the old pump just by removing the 4 screws and the 1 screw that's in the center, so 5 screws total. This is the old one here. Obviously it doesn't have that little rubber piece on the end anymore, but this is the old one. And then you'll go on ahead and loosen up the 4 screws that are T20 that are holding all these on. Go ahead and loosen up all 4 of these and set them down. And then you'll go on ahead and line up the housing and put it right back on top of here like so, and then line up all of the bolt holes, and then go ahead and tighten up all of the T20, excuse me, I'm out of the camera. Go ahead and tighten up all of the bolts back. Okay, now you can see I got the new housing attached to the new pump. There is the new one right there. Here is the old one right here that I took the housing off. So yeah, so now we can go ahead and reinstall this back in the car. Your pump probably should have come with new rubber mounting grommets. These are pretty easy to put on as well. So yeah, we'll go on ahead and go reinstall this back on the car. Okay, so now you got your new pump, or you've transferred your outlet housing to the new pump, you can go on ahead and reinstall the pump back onto the car. As I mentioned before, if yours comes with new grommets, go on ahead and stick the 10mm into the new one and install the top one and tighten it up all the way. The very top mounting mounting bolt. Go on ahead and start it by hand, and then go ahead and tighten it up completely. So yes, you'll get that one all the way tight. And then what you'll want to do, obviously the 2 ports on the outlet go face towards the back of the car, but you want to just take this here, this top one, and just force it up onto the rubber there, onto the new one. You'll see it'll look something like this. You're pretty much just forcing it on, so that's like that already, up onto the one right there that you already installed, and then you can go on ahead and stick on the last 2 on the bottom, because they're easier to get to and you can actually see what you're doing. So go on ahead and just stick this one up in there. See, it's already on, just like that. You can just set the wiring harness out of the way for now, and then you'll go on ahead and just install both of the new rubber grommets here. You can just push them into place, just like so. So you got the new one here, the new rubber here, and then stick the new rubber one on the bottom as well, just like that. And then you go on ahead and come up with the 10mm bolts and tighten those up as well. And then once you get everything tightened, you can go on ahead and reinstall the the two hoses that come off of here that come onto the outlet. This one right here, and then the other one that's up top. Pretty much you'll go on ahead and just reconnect the, you can move the wiring harness down here to the bottom, or excuse, move the wiring harness to go on top of every connection for the hoses. You can go on ahead and stick the top hose back in, the one that comes from the air box. Slide that back on into place and put the clamp back on. Like so. Same with this connection here. Go on ahead and stick it, maneuver it back onto the pump as well, just like so, just like you have it here, and then go ahead and put both of the plastic connectors back over, and then after that you can go on ahead and plug the connector back up into place. Don't forget to put this little vacuum port connection back on. This other connector in place here. Like so. Connectors here. And you can zip tie these things up into place just so that they're out of the way and they're not just hanging, but that's pretty much all there is to it. You go on ahead and reinstall your plastic covers that you had here on the bottom, and the ones that are in the fender well, go ahead and put the screws back into that, and that is it. Remember, your pump is only going to run in the morning, so if you install it right now and it's hot outside, because I think it's based on ambient temperature as well, it may or may not run. Most of the time they do run though, considering you've probably been working on this for a good hour or so now. But yeah, if the pump doesn't run immediately, don't worry. Just wait till the next cold start in the morning, and then it should run, provided that you've checked all the fuses and the relays and everything is fine. But this is essentially just a video to show you how to remove the air pump and how to put the air pump back in on a C5 Corvette. This would be the 97 through 2004, I believe. So this should work for the LS1 motors, and I believe the LS6 motors that come in the Z06 Corvettes. I believe they have air pumps as well. But yeah, if you have any comments or questions, please leave them in the comment section below. If this is your first time to the channel, as always, thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it. And if you guys could hit the subscribe button on your way out, I really appreciate that. All right, guys, until next time.